Should we open with a cheers?
Yeah.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Alex, to the coffee house. My name is DJ Hoozar. This is Hoozar's Coffee Chats.
And I'm Alex Madden.
Here with Alex.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And what did we do last night or 2 nights ago?
We played a whole lot of music. So many genres in one night.
It was a lot.
It was crazy.
It was some deep house into some Amapiano.
Yeah.
And then I think you started off with tech house.
Yeah, I started with an AC/DC remix.
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy.
Like, I have to make sure these people know I'm Australian.
It kind of worked though. Like I started with a little nice like loop and stuff while Dean was talking over it, introducing me, and then we slowly brought it in. Everyone kind of didn't know what was going on, and then yeah, it really brought up the vibes in the house. It was great.
That's sick. I'm sorry, your voice is coming in a delay in these headphones, and I'm like super tripped out because every other second it's just like, oh, it's exactly what you said.
No, you're so good.
You're so good. You use the headphones.
Yeah, so valid. It's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, so how was that was your first experience club DJing?
Yeah, club DJing. So like my experience DJing before was mainly just honestly as like I'm Australian, so I'm going to be so informal, but it's just fucking around. Like I feel like that's kind of the main sort of vibe that Australians kind of really get with the whole decks is that you kind of, most people's sort of experience or like getting started into decks is there's one mate who brings it around to a party and people are like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so
what
it's
is
kind of
it?
like taking turns almost?
Yeah, like it's very, very back to back immediately.
Yeah.
And like the way that I got it was one of my mates that brought it over one time, and I was like talking to them and I was like, oh, like this is really awesome. Like, how do you do it? Can you teach me a little bit? And they were like, yeah, let's do back to back. By then I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, like we're doing like Charlie's Angels? What's going on? And he's like, so I'll play a song, then you play a song. And I was like, okay, that's fucking stressful. Like,
yeah, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, this is deep end. Like,
starting at,
I have no idea what I'm doing. What do you mean? What's a low, medium, and high? Like, but yeah, so then it got started. I think my first mix was probably horrendous. I probably honestly just pressed pause, pressed play. Like it
just
was
dead
probably
silence.
It would have given the ick to anybody there, you know? It was crazy. And then yeah, he was like, okay, this is what you did wrong that time. Do it better next time. And then he played a song, mixed it in really nicely. Mm-hmm. Then I mixed it in, maybe didn't press pause and play. Like I just pressed play and then eventually pressed pause.
And then vocals clashing. And
yeah, it was horrific. And then he told me about beat matching, and then it's just it's a very slow process is what I learned. Mm-hmm. But
it was also like immediate feedback because like it was after every song you would have like a comment from him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it was such a good experience to get just that one-on-one sort of like understanding how to like interact with decks. You know, it's not just this sort of random like bunch of knobs and stuff. Like it's an instrument. You got to learn how to play it.
Yeah, it has all these like, well, because like when you look at it immediately, like even a mixer like this, you see it and it's just a million knobs, and you're like, what could those possibly all do?
Literally,
when you're originally seeing it, but then as you use it more and more, you're like, oh, obviously, like I'll take the lows out, I'll move the highs over.
Exactly, obviously,
and I'll add a dub echo effect, like. But even the mixer at City at Night, like it was my second time using it. I was more comfortable with it this time. But looking at a mixer like that, you're just like, what do all these knobs do?
Oh, it's so daunting. It's crazy.
It's
you look
so,
at it,
like precise.
Yeah.
But that gives like a million options.
You look at this and you're like, this is the next step to like the Terminator movies. Like, how are we here? Yeah, Skynet is in front of me. Like, I should kill this. Spray some water on it.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's funny, but my one friend, Austin, who was there last night, you might have met, but he was obsessed with it because he's at Algonquin for music production and events planning, I think. So he's very deep into music production and knows what all these like effects are. And so he was nerding out over the effects channel because it has a tiny screen. And it allows you to precisely adjust sections of the reverb in like crazy ways that I didn't even understand, but he seemed really thrilled about.
Yeah, I've never seen a man get so excited for something that I did not understand.
Like in any way, like whatsoever.
Like I was getting like secondhand excitement from him, but I had like, no idea what I was talking about. Yeah, I felt like a puppy. I was like, oh my God, you're like yelling and screaming. I'm so happy for you. But What?
What are we happy about?
Yeah. It was great.
It was cool. So yeah, that was your first time ever in like a club style environment. It's always kind of been back to back, someone's kitchen table.
Yeah, literally.
Maybe
like
backyard. Have you ever done like kind of like a house party before? Or
I've done like, a couple of house parties. So I think my first ever house party I DJ'd at was actually my own 21st.
Oh, nice.
Which was, it was so nice. And I remember I had this whole playlist set up, had everything like nicely and organized, started playing it through and was like, okay, like this is what it feels like to actually like play a set. And then ever since then I was kind of like, it's not just like a back to back.
That hump kind of?
Yeah, it wasn't just like sort of, okay, like I just want to play this song and I'm out. It's like a sort of, I want to tell a story. I want to make more out of this. It's not just
pair them kind of together.
And I kind of want to like express myself, and it really like gives you like once you have that sort of like even if it's just 10 minutes, like 3 songs of playing your own 3 songs, you're like you kind of get that sort of I want to play this. This is me, you know, and you kind of want to share that to everyone, Yeah,
like you get kind of like an internal feeling. You're like, oh, this would work.
Yeah.
And then it could pair up into this, and then it would even hit with this.
Exactly.
Were there moments like that in your set that you like had planned like that, or like certain pairings that you're like, oh, like this is kind of going to be the setup for this like second song to like come in crashing?
Oh, 100%. I was like, I think there was a couple because I knew obviously like me being Australian and I had a bunch of friends there who came and knew that I was Australian. I was like, I gotta give a bit of like a homage back to the motherland, like so obviously
dirty prisoner colony.
No, literally. I'm like, we gotta make this filthy. Like they gotta understand. But so I like obviously had that mindset of I wanted to showcase kind of my experience as an Australian. Like I've been to a bunch of DJ like sets. I've been to like the most obscure events as well, like the ones where you get your mate messaging you like an hour beforehand and he's like, this is the location.
Yeah, we just got the location 5 minutes ago.
Let's go. And I'm like, what are we going to? He's like, there's no time. Like, we're going now. I'm picking you up in 5.
Why are we in the middle of the woods?
Literally. Like, and it's just the most dodgiest. I remember there was one time where I went to this random ass place. Like you think like of a major city or whatever, think about like 10 like if you walk 10 minutes out of the city, find like the nearest like parkland or whatever, like
woods and kind of
these boys had like set up this generator and like everything so dodgy. Like I was scared we were gonna get jumped like any moment of it.
You're kind of in the wildlands and it feels like you're out of like
literally no man's lands. Like I was like, we are pirates right now.
Except for everyone's phones, I guess. But
and it was just like that was crazy for me because then I was like having to like even afterwards like feeling so ecstatic. I was like, this is some great music. I've got so many great tracks and like wheeling like a whole generator up a park and I'm like, this is crazy.
Wait, so you played that? Or
I didn't play that.
Or you were helping, you were carrying the generator just as someone who went.
Yeah, no, I was
they were just like, carry this.
No, literally. Well, I've got this really bad, and this is why I'm insufferable to go out with, because as soon as I get to a venue or a club, I will immediately go up to the DJ and just see what they're doing.
Yeah, like just kind of like study them.
Yeah, I'll go up with like I'll go in with my mates and I'll be like, let's get a drink, whatever. I'm hanging out with you, and then immediately
you're just disappeared.
I'm
and you're like,
disappeared, and
if you like look at the booth, you'll
literally they know where I'm at. I'm on the right side of the DJ booth, watching this guy analyzing. Notes app probably open.
Yes, like, Shazam on permanent.
Literally, like get me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that for me, that event was like I came with a bunch of my mates. Like my mates were DJing, so I was pretty comfortable in that. But even still, like I was so involved with the culture, wanted to learn whatever, that I was like happy, like in golfing terms, I was happy just to fucking hold the clubs.
Yeah.
Like
literally, just kind of like the caddy for the DJ.
Yeah, literally.
Like, take the generator or like, do you need water? So like you were like actively like volunteering just so you could kind of have an opportunity to learn.
Just to get like anywhere close, just get any bit of knowledge. And stuff like helping them set up. I was thinking like, this is the next step. Like I got to do that. And the next thing, like they'll be like, oh, by the way, like this is how I do this, but like, yeah, I don't know. I've kind of always had that sort of, I want to learn, I just don't know how to, which I feel like is a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like nobody kind of really knows how to get into it, which is really nice to see a lot of people kind of like get out. And even like stuff like this, like for me, like I've been casually DJing like in my fucking room every now and then.
Off the DJ 400 and FLX4.
No, literally. Like screw a DJ. Like I'll just be on like record box, just playing and playing
on the
you know?
laptop. Yeah. Before you have the decks. Yeah.
Exactly. And then to get like a gig like at a venue is crazy because that's like you don't get that sort of experience. And with like DJing and stuff, no matter how much questions you ask. If you've never touched decks before or had that experience, you won't be
especially
good.
CDJs and like the mixer,
no, 100%.
like or DGM mixer, I think it's called.
Yeah, like I said, it's fucking Terminator. You're Sarah Connor. It's gonna fucking strangle you and snap your neck so quick.
But yeah, I 100% agree. I think there's this weird, there's almost a point as a DJ you have to cross. It's between like actually playing on CDJs or playing in a venue, and like you can practice all you want before that in your bedroom, but until you have that experience, like you just can't really learn that exact skill that will make you comfortable until you've experienced it. So it's like kind of like you need the experience to get the gig, but you can't get the experience without having the gig.
Exactly.
So it takes a while for people to get over that, but I found that like once I had my first kind of set inside of a club, then it was much easier for me to find other clubs and say, oh, I DJ'd here once, or I did that before. And that's why I like capture everything too. And I think it's cool to like put my friends into venues if they've never been before, because like you'll have this recording forever.
Exactly. And I'll be able to hound myself as well. I'm gonna look at all those shitty transitions and be like
oh
fuck.
God.
Who is that guy? Not me.
I hate to break it to you, but for the first few songs, the dub echo effect is just like permanently on.
Yeah, I didn't realize. No, literally. I remember you coming up halfway through and just being like, hey, but like your set's going so great right now. But by the way, this has been on the entire time. Flicks a button. I'm like, shit, I wasn't even looking at that. Like, I was so stressed about the levels that I was not looking at anything else.
But like also like I barely knew how to use it. Like there's a point in like, I think I uploaded it, but my first kind of like opening set where Jordan, who's the guy who's at City of Night, who kind of like helped us out or like brought me in there, where he just like reaches over and goes boop, and then it showed me how to actually use the effects part on the DGM-10, because it's like there's 3 or 4 levels of effects that you don't see on I think it's DJM-9, that's like kind of standard for the old 2000 Nexus out of box, but yeah, there's a point where he just reaches over and like boop, and then I heard it and it was like, oh shit, Alex is in the same spot I was.
Literally.
I came out and was like boop.
No, like there's so much that goes into it, and like exactly, you never realize like you need such a good support around you to really get going. Like, don't get me wrong, anybody can DJ if they put their minds to it, but like,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
You really need like your core like squad and group to like help you get through that and like help you like realize, like even to me, like when I got out, everyone was like, oh my God, you did so great, like that was amazing. I was like, did you hear the melody at all? Did you hear it? Like was it okay? Like
it was good. It was good. You liked it?
Could you only hear bass? Like yeah, literally. Please say psych right now if you cannot hear me. Like I don't know. Like it's always, I feel like you got to kind of get like, if you're trying to get into DJing or that just sort of like culture, you've got to get ready for the kind of slap in the faces that you will get.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like, shit like, oh, I had like echo running out the main speakers for 10 minutes and no one told me.
Yeah.
And it sounded like shit for the past 10 minutes.
No, literally. And it's just like, you have to be so ready to take that on board and just move on as well. Yeah. Because like, I know...
just learn from it.
Yeah. I know so many people who would have been starting to DJ at a similar time to me and just couldn't take it. Like, you know, like I feel like the reason why I did so good is because I'm so quick to be like, oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to work on that.
Integrate the feedback and then immediately apply it.
Exactly.
Rather than beating yourself up for making the mistake.
Yeah. Whereas like, I feel like there are so many people who do that, or like... also will just turn into such a bigger thing. Like,
sorry. Oh, sorry.
Literally. Or would just be like, hey, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
You know? I will never say that in my life.
Yeah, they're kind of like almost like pushing the feedback away because they're like, oh, I got this. But it's like
you're never going to learn then, man.
Yeah, how are you going to learn?
Yeah, I don't know. Because like, don't get me wrong, I've probably gotten really bad feedback before as well from other people, but I still take it on board, you know, because at the end of the day, they're still in the audience.
Yeah.
There's still going to be someone who's going to a set and is going to be like, this is what I expect out of this.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind and keep thinking, like, obviously you're never going to please everyone, but you still got to think, I'm going to try and please the most that I can.
Yeah.
You know,
I kind of have a story related to that, but
oh yeah,
I think it was the most infuriated I've been when I DJ'd at Ollie's. Was this one night where a guy came up to me and was just like, "Hey man, love the set, but like, you gotta like switch the songs up quicker, man. Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, what are you talking about? Like, people are having a great time. Like, what do you mean?" But then like that was kind of what gave me the kick in the butt to like learn quick mixing. And like to that point, I was basically playing all 3 choruses. And now I almost hardly ever play all 3 choruses. And I cue point most of my songs so that I can get out by the second chorus. Because I just find people don't really have the attention span anymore to like listen all the way through to full songs.
TikTok brain.
TikTok brain.
It's the TikTok brain.
100% TikTok brain. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's such a big problem, and I think that's why, especially stuff like hyperpop and like for me, listening to like a lot of like Berlin techno and everything, it's so just like fast paced, quick change. Yeah, like you get like 2 seconds.
2 songs in one almost.
Yeah. No, literally. Like I've listened to some of Brutalismus' songs, and I'm like, this is almost an entire set in like 3 minutes. Like,
oh my
this
God,
is
really?
crazy.
I
Yeah.
haven't actually gotten into that world, so.
Oh,
I'm
it's
curious about
crazy. Yeah, like post-punk techno is one of those things where it's like, you never know what's going to happen. It might like, maybe like you'll get 2 bars of something. Maybe you'll get 1 bar. Maybe you'll get 3/4 of a bar, and it'll just randomly switch up on you. Like,
oh, really? So they're not even completing full musical phrases before there's like a complete thematic shift.
exactly. And it's this whole kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just spewing out of my brain, and this maybe I'm just projecting because I have ADHD and I'm so quick to be like, okay, let's move on. But that's why I love it so much, is that I find that it's so just quick to be like, okay, and now this is this.
And you never get bored of it, but you're like, oh wait, that was sick. But then as long as the follow up is
exactly,
good,
and it never like
still engaged.
drones on enough to be like, okay, this is cool. Like, let's move on. You know, like I find that I never kind of get that with that sort of like experimental, like, I don't know, like all that hyper techno. It's really just fast paced, really quick, just really all up in your face.
Yeah.
You
What
know?
What are some artists from that like you like, or maybe songs? I don't know. Do you have like, what are your 3 favorite, like current favorite, not like for life favorite, but like top 3 now kind of?
Top 3 right now. I mean, I have always, and this is my mate back home, Hamish, hates this. And he's like, I go to festivals with him all the time. We agree on 90% of things.
Yeah.
Does not like this artist.
Oh,
Brutalismus.
okay. How do you spell that?
Brutalismus, brutal, and then Ismus, like ISMUS.
Okay, yeah.
I love them personally, and he thinks that every song sounds like the previous one.
Really?
He's like, you could have told me you were playing the same song for 50 minutes, and I would not have noticed. And then
but to you, you're like, what? You didn't hear all the ways?
Yeah, I'm like,
up so quickly,
dude, the way that it like quickly changed up in that 1 bar, like, what do you mean?
Is it just? Do you think it's like the consistency of techno, just because they kind of always use the same kick drum?
I think
him,
so.
Is that like the kick he's really hearing? Maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's also like a similar, because they really, and I never even knew that post-punk techno was a thing. Like, it sounds so dickheady
I heard
to
it
say.
for the first time today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the way. It's spreading the word.
I like post-punk and I like techno. I didn't know that but it doesn't sound like
genre
New Order,
blended.
does it? Like, it's not.
No, yeah.
Not like that style of
It's a
post-punk.
whole new thing. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, they are doing some crazy stuff with that. And like a lot of other like Berlin or like German techno, like not a lot of vocals, but when it is, it's like screaming, like just in your ears, and you're like, you're hearing this doom, 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 doom,
like industrial style.
Yeah, and then it goes into a filthy drop, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but I'm happy.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
like I'm in bliss.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a band called Street Sects? Like SECTS?
I have not.
And their like albums are covered with like skull kind of imagery and like dark. It's like 1950s cartoons, like drawing style, but with like very gloomy aesthetics.
Oh damn!
But they're very like industrial. I don't know if they would be techno, but I guess it'd just be like industrial hardcore.
Yeah, like kind of similar vibes.
So maybe that would be on a similar wavelength.
Yeah, no, I got to give them a sus. As for other ones,
so Brutalismus.
Yeah, Brutalismus is
one.
definitely a big one. When I like first got into techno, I remember I was part of a band for all of like 5 seconds.
Okay.
And I remember one of the guys, the drummer, was taking me back, and I just found this was back when I like would like, no offense to Flume, nothing. I fucking love you. You were my idol. But like, I just kind of like listen to more of like that mainstream sort of stuff, like kind of like your typical.
So Flume was like mainstream in Australia.
Yeah, very mainstream. Like
interesting.
everyone's kind of just like listening to that sort of stuff. Like I think what was it, 2010 to like 2015? Like
yeah,
it was crazy. Even hearing like when he found his USB and released it, I was transported back into like year 12. I was like, I'm in my room. Oh, so have you not heard about this?
No, I haven't heard this story.
Okay, so recently he found one of his USBs. I think it was maybe like, it could have been like 3 years ago actually, maybe like 2. He found one of his old USBs.
Yeah.
And instead of like changing it up or going, this isn't my style anymore, he was like, you know what? There are people out there who listen to my old stuff and listen to like this vibe. At one point, I was creating this for some sort of people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to release it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he did.
Whoa.
And everybody got around it. Totally not what anybody listens to right now. And everybody loved it. Me and my mates were like, "Oh my god, this transports me back to 2014."
Takes you back,
yeah.
What was it called? Or
I think he
did
literally
he like only do it on his website or something? Or
no, like
straight
onto Spotify.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and he was like, he
Do you know
didn't
what
even
it's
like.
called? Is there a name of the project or?
He didn't rename it at all. I think it's literally called like Slugger Point 2014 .wav. Like,
all right, interesting.
he literally was just like, found it, cool, upload, let's go.
Nice. So they were like songs he had never released before.
Yeah, and
that's
that's
been working on in that timeline.
Yeah, and it fucking hit. Like it was
sick.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Flume's a giant one, but so when I was like listening to Flume and stuff, I found this one hyper techno song randomly out of the blue. Like I think I was just getting my like Spotify, just like going through what recommended and
like
stuff.
Radio, the fact that you can like go off of one song and then find a bunch of songs just like it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was doing that and I found one song. I forget the name of it. And it was kind of a bit hyper techno-y. And I showed it to the drummer when we were driving home and I was like, I've heard this song. Like, what do you think? And he was like, that's really good. How about this one? And he showed me a song by Brutalismus called Satan Was a Baby Boomer. And I was like, what, am I being indoctrinated right now? Like, what's going on? And he played it and it was the hardest shit of my life. Like, I have never heard a song like so just full on compared to that. And I feel like that was my proper introduction into like techno and like all that like
that was kind of like the first hardcore techno song.
Yeah.
And you hadn't really listened to techno before that?
No, not really. And that was before I even knew like decks were a thing. Like I knew DJs were a thing. I didn't know how they did it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How old do you think you were when like you heard it?
Oh, it would have been like year 11 maybe, I'd say. Like I was pretty late into it, honestly. Like a lot of my friends had been already kind of into it. Oh, actually, no, I hadn't met a lot of my like DJ friends until I got proper into university and people were like, oh, you know, like this is how you do it, and started hanging out with the DJs at the parties, not just the people playing beer pong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and then I really got into the culture and was like, okay, this gives me such a more appreciation for the music.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a point in your life where you realize that DJs aren't just pressing play. Because like before it, I feel like everyone's default is like, oh, just press play on the song.
Yeah.
But like then you understand like what mixing is and the fact that you're trying to blend songs seamlessly. But obviously not always like within reason, because sometimes you want to have a hard transition.
Exactly.
When the moment is right.
The shock factor, the wow.
But knowing when to call that is the skill, I guess. And knowing when to... Because I didn't think about it before, because you would just think, oh, you play good music, but then there's how many songs in the world? Like there's almost an infinite amount of songs you could play.
Yeah, you search up any word, it will be there.
In that moment, you have to pick the best song for that moment, following up the song before it and the song after it. So what is it going to be?
Yeah. And you never know what's going to be the right pick. It's always a gamble.
Yeah, because you can even play like the Beatport top 100 or top 40, and like you can play that, and that's what most people are listening to. But that doesn't mean the crowd will dance to it or vibe with it or like it. And sometimes they dislike it because of the fact that it's popular.
Yeah,
in that moment.
It's
like I've noticed that with TikTok songs, where you're like, oh, this is big on TikTok right now, but people are so exhausted of it because they've heard it 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Before they came here.
But still, it'll be in their bed. Like, I mean, it'll be in their head like 10,000 times before they go to bed. You know? Like sometimes it works for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, to bring it back to your top 3, it's, I don't know, very hard because I feel like I'm a big like sort of, I like listening to the remixes, like remixes of popular songs, but then turned hyper techno. So I never really get the appreciation for the person making it. But I'd say My top 3 are definitely Brutalismus number 1. There's a guy in Melbourne who I remember I listened to his song first and then went to a festival where he was playing at, had like the best time. His name's Stum.
Okay,
spelled STU with the umlaut on top, the 2 little
like
dots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the M. Yeah, literally. And yeah, literally, I thought he was like that. Like I could not differentiate it. I was, but yeah, so listened to a couple of his songs and stuff. It was really good. And then it was funny actually. On the same night that I heard him, I was listening to who was it? Well, quick shout out to Diesel. Love what you're doing. Amazing
like
stuff.
Shaq.
Yeah, big ups to Shaq.
Big ups
He's
to
got some
Shaq.
great stuff going on. Love the way you're mixing it. Crowd work, top notch. I can't think of the name right now. I might have to quickly check out what one it is. Because there's one track I listened to, and I'm going to hate myself for forgetting the name. Sorry, absolute memory blank.
No problem. It is also hard too, because like you find all these artists, and I've found it hard to recall artist names more recently because it's being so spread thin.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like even just 2 or 3 years ago, I was like consistently listening to the same few artists, but now it's like one song from this guy, one song from that guy, one remix from that girl, one remix from that girl.
No, literally. And even like, yeah, like you search up the remix of the person, you forget who like the original person who made it was.
Literally,
like,
yeah, because you like the remix more than the original.
Yeah,
so
so far detached from the artist that you're like, oh, okay.
It's just like a copy of a, but each copy changes the song and switches it up.
Yeah.
More.
Which I love. The thing that I love the most about like the music industry is the whole like performance aspect and the whole like putting yourself on blast, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're really kind of, in a way, you're almost getting up naked in front of the stage. Like, I mean, like, yeah. if you're doing like a theme or whatever, obviously you got to stick to it, and that comes with its own like trials and tribunals, but like, yeah, coming up and doing your own set and like doing what you like is really just getting naked in front of them and showing off like your whole kind of genre, everything you listen to, and people don't vibe with it, then it's like
they're not gonna dance.
It's crazy. I did find it.
Yes.
Skin on Skin.
Skin on Skin's great. I love Skin on Skin.
I fucking love Skin on Skin, and I hate myself for not remembering his name because I do listen to his stuff. But
have you known him for a while? Has he been big for a while? I feel like I only just found out about him in the past year or so.
Yeah, I only found about him in the past year as well. I think it was
Fred again was playing him, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, also Fred again as well. I've seen his set a couple of times now actually. And
live, like
and that man, like, feel free to cut this out, but I've never seen autism work so well in a man. Like that guy is working.
Can we confirm that?
Hyperfixated. Yeah, literally. Yo, chat, is this real?
Is this real?
But yeah, like,
but you're talking about like dedication, like hyperfixation on something for years. Because I mean, he's been in the industry for over a decade, maybe 2. Like he's been Brian Eno's disciple for.
Oh ever. yeah.
Because he was producing a lot, but he never had his face in the limelight. But now he's like making his own projects and then collaborating with people he's worked with in the past,
which is crazy.
It's kind of all coming to fruition now, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, I love to see it. Like that man has such a vision for music, and I love to see where it's going. Like in the next, like even like 2 years, maybe 5 years. 5 years, he's gonna absolutely rescape it. I think.
Yeah.
Like. It's going to completely change the way we listen to like techno and the way we introduce it and like the different genres. I feel like he's mixing a lot of mainstream people
into like electronic dance music, and then pulling mainstream people into these like subgenres. Like people are listening to drum and bass now, like that wasn't happening before.
Oh, literally.
And then like him and Chase's Status are like Trojan horsing drum and bass into North America via like good features and all that.
Yeah, do you reckon they just looked at each other and they were like, wouldn't it be funny?
Wouldn't it be funny?
Could you imagine if?
What if we doubled the average tempo of the charts in North America?
Yeah, let's fuck around with this for a little bit. No, but like I'm now shitty at myself for not like mentioning Fred again, because he's so experimental and he's doing exactly what I love to see with it. Like I think, did you see that thing about how on TikTok he was like, hey, this is how I made, what was it, Jungle?
Yeah, Jungle.
And it was his beat, like it was one of his aux chords was like making that staticky sound when like you plug it in, and then he was like, oh, wait a minute, that kind of sounds cool. Yeah, that's kind of gas. Let me record that real quick. And then he like started looping it and doing whatever, turned it into a whole song, and now
and it was just like a error. Yeah, it was an error message basically.
Exactly,
and his audio equipment.
Yeah, and now it's like if you go to a club, at least I'm gonna be so like generous. I mean, no, non-generous, and say like 7 out of 10 people will absolutely know it.
Yeah,
I'd say in Melbourne, 9 out of 10.
Oh, absolutely.
On a bad day, probably
less
10 out of 10.
so here. I feel like people definitely know it. I have kind of had trouble getting people to dance to Fred Again in the more mainstream clubs I'm in, but in a club like City at Night, people go nuts for it. Like they love it.
Yeah,
but it obviously like depends on the crowd and it depends on the venue you're in.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just got such a way with it.
What do you think set his live events apart? Because I know he does things like with the visuals are pretty crazy. Like he pulls out the drum pad and he adds some like randomness to it. Like he has random vocal samples that he doesn't even know.
I think
on
so.
Some of the drum pads.
Well, so my first time seeing him was at a festival called Laneway Festival, and it was it was a little bit before sunset, and I remember him saying, "Hey guys, so for shits and gigs, like there was this one record or whatever of the most amount of people who got onto each other's shoulders at a festival and stuff. Should we break it? Should we do it? Should we do that, guys?" And everyone was like, "Fuck yeah, Fred Again, let's fucking do it."
Yeah, let's go.
And he was just kind of treating it like your mates, Yeah. Like he's such an approachable, loving guy.
And he interacts with a crowd as if it's a group of friends, but it's at the scale of 10,000 people.
Literally. Yeah. And I'm just like, immediately, I just look at my mate. I'm like, now's the time. Like, looked at my 6'4" mate and was just like, it's not going to be me.
Yeah. I can't carry you.
Like, look at me. It ain't going to happen. And he's like, fuck, fine, all right. So then I got on his shoulders and...
do it for
Fred. And everyone was on it. Yeah, literally do it for Fred. If that man told me to do a backflip, never done one before, it's fucking happening.
You'd go for it,
You know, I'm doing it 3 times over.
We're about to break the world record of most backflips at a festival.
Oh, literally, everyone would be on their stomachs just crawling around because they've screwed it up. Literally. Because nobody can do a backflip. Like, Fred Again, please. I can't do many more backflips.
Oh God.
He's crazy with it. But yeah, it's kind of that whole thing that you love to see so much is that every artist, obviously, if you're going in to make music, you're probably going in because you like making music, not for the money.
Because the odds are so low.
Literally.
It makes no sense because you have to also make no money for 10 years.
Yeah, you have to go through all of that. And it's like, if you're going to go through that, the payoff, you got to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you can kind of just see him enjoying it, which makes you enjoy him enjoying it. So much more, if that makes sense. You're
You feed into his energy because he's communicating, and he hasn't lost that because some artists you can kind of tell are just putting in the just doing it, clocking and
do it for the TikTok brain.
Just trying to make money, or at one point they were excited about it, but it's clear that they're not, because you can almost get trapped in there's one version of you that your audience wants to see, and then you have to perform that forever.
Exactly.
So and if you don't like it, then brutal. Well, that's the tough thing. It's if you make a song that you hate, but that's your song that blows up.
Could you imagine?
Perform that the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many artists that's happened to, hasn't it? That have just created a song and they've been like, I never actually kind of fucked with that song to begin with.
Yeah. But then now it's all anyone wants from you, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, you got to think of Tyler the Creator, he made a whole song about how he hates his older songs,
Yeah, true.
What is it? Was it Colossus?
Yeah, or I think it was his hatred of fans approaching him and thinking that they're close with him, or or just it was his version of Stan, Stan by Eminem.
Yeah.
Where it's hey Stan, or overly obsessive fans that feel like they have a real relationship with you because they just have a parasocial one with you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so crazy because you kind of
and they see an older version of you, but he's progressed past it.
Yeah, they kind of want what they see, which I feel like is just life, many times it happened, so many times it will happen that you kind of meet somebody and this is who I think they are, and it's not them.
No,
and that's also with artists, you kind of got to see it,
because it's impossible to have a completely accurate view of someone. You only have your perceptions and your interactions with them, and then over time, like obviously they'll change, and then you haven't updated your model since you last interacted with them.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with music as well. Like they're putting out like completely different stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I'll be whoever I am from a day-to-day basis when I'm interacting with people. When I'm by myself and the real me, I'm like, you know, that's not the same person, you know? Like if somebody just barged down to my door and they were like, yo, Madden, let's hang, let's do this, whatever. I'd like put it on the front and be like, oh my God, oh my God. You know,
who
like,
are you?
Yeah, and it must be so daunting for that as an artist.
Yeah,
like,
to be
crazy.
like locked into like kind of one version of you that might have been 20 years ago.
Yeah, and even when you're not performing, like if you're in public, you're still performing. You're putting that on.
Absolutely.
You know? It's crazy. I couldn't imagine the pressure of that.
No, me neither. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Techno-wise, though, like, I'd say, yeah, those are, for my top three as well, those are definitely my favorite three that I've been, like, mainly introduced to. Obviously, got love for Dom Dollar, Flume, you know, everybody from Melbourne. Yeah, you gotta love them. I mean, they've come up with so many bangers. You know,
absolutely.
Like, I didn't even realize, like, coming to Canada, I didn't think that they'd be big names and stuff. Then I'm hearing everybody go, like, oh, have you heard Black Betty by Dom Dollar? And I'm like, I'm Australian. Do you hear the accent? Of course I've heard Black Betty by Dom Dollar.
Of course I've heard it, yeah. But you put me onto that. I didn't know he dropped that remix.
Oh, really? Yeah, nice.
Cool. Like after that, I was like, oh, I got to check out what Dom Dollar dropped.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
Because I guess it was in the sets. It wasn't on like Spotify or anything yet. I don't even know if it's on Spotify now.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah. It's so weird how you can be like ahead of the curve, but like also still behind the curve. Like some people are so on the pulse of things. Like, oh, I listened to that Cardi leak like 2 years ago, bro. What are you talking about?
Literally, I'm like, what do you mean?
Like, what do you mean? It's still a leak. It isn't even out.
Yeah, like it's been 10 years, bro. Move on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And so you were getting into techno in kind of like later years of high school, like early university, you're saying, or?
Yeah, big time. I think that was when I first like obviously I'd listen to it and be like, oh, this is a banger, like certified. But yeah, it was definitely that like sort of university where I got like a really like fine like, I don't know, appreciation for that and like electronic music because...
And so that was kind of the soundtrack of the parties you were seeing in your like late high school, early university. It was primarily electronic dance music?
100%.
And then primarily techno over house, like even?
I'd say mainly it would probably go house, then techno, then like EDM, I'd say.
Just kind of all the other offshoots.
Yeah, I feel like everyone in Australia is... kind of a bit scared to say the word EDM.
Really?
I'm going to be so honest. Like, even coming here, I was like, everyone's like, oh, let's listen to EDM. And I was like,
what do you mean by that?
What are you, 5? Like, we're over
just
that.
Like
the time moved on.
It reminds you of kind of like Big Room, like 2010s, like kind of almost cringy, like sugary, sweet levels of like Calvin Harris pop.
Yeah, exactly. Calvin Harris is the right way to put it. Cause like,
or David Guetta.
Yeah. Like I would listen to all of them.
But like in a bad way.
Yeah, but like they're bangers. Like,
yes,
I would love them.
Yes. But it almost feels like it's calling back to like childhood almost.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I shouldn't be listening to this. I should be growing up. It's like how you watch your favorite like kids show every now and then.
You're watching
like
Friends and you're like,
yeah, I'm like, this is
can't
great.
Watch Friends forever.
Yeah, exactly. Like at some point I got to get a job, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I feel like in Melbourne, especially the past like couple of years, it's really moved on. Like, and this is what like I always find that with the festivals every single year, there's more and more people that like I will see post on like Instagram that they went. Yeah. And I'm like, I've never heard you like say any interest into like techno or whatever.
Yeah,
and now you're at this
sort of
4-day festival.
Like, I thought you were into alternative rock.
Literally, like you just listen to
what
guitar.
do you think the kind of like archetypal Melbourne like mainstream listener would be listening to? Like someone who only listens to radio, doesn't even really explore music. What do you think that kind of average consumer would be experiencing?
They'd definitely be listening to like not techno wise, like
not techno. Like what is the like mainstream? Is it just kind of is there just global dominance? Do you think of like American radio?
I think a little
across
bit
the world. Do you think or?
I think that Australia has a really good culture for Australian music. We have one major radio show that everybody listens to is Triple J.
Okay.
We even have like our main like Australia Day, Invasion Day. Just gotta get that little plug. Yeah. There was an event hosted by this radio called Triple J's Hottest 100. Yeah. And they'd hosted on Australia Day. Yeah. And then when it came out and more people started getting aware that Australia Day was like more problematic and that we shouldn't be celebrating it and stuff, then Triple J was like, yep, we're not going to do that either. We're just going to host it on the nearest Saturday to Australia Day. And it became more popular than Australia Day. Like
the original broadcast had been. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it was like kind of like a flash in the pan moment, like big deal.
Yeah, like it's huge. Every single year there's a Triple J Hottest 100 party. But Triple J has done such an awesome job at just culturing Australian artists to Australians, like the Kid Leroy and like other stuff. Yeah, and they become so normal to Australians that I don't think even Australians know that they're Australian. Like,
really,
they'll be like, "Oh, the Kid Leroy, I thought he was American."
Yeah, it just feels like natural, like mainstream music that's popular, but like they have a good way of bringing it up and curating and pulling up in a way that doesn't feel forced.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's done a lot of that. I'd say a lot of people listen to indie music. A lot of alternative rock. I remember like, my first gigs going to were like garage rock, like listening to the Chats. Yeah. Like all of that sort of grungy, just sort of Australian.
I have no idea who that is. Are they kind of like Australian rock? Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, if you have to appreciate them to actually appreciate them. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Like if you're listening to them, you have to kind of really understand that they're these boys from, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think they're from like Perth or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
They're from somewhere in the outback country, maybe not even outback, but
kind of like outskirts of a suburb.
Yeah, with like not a lot to do and kind of have this whole culture set around of like showing that Australian sort of, if there's not much to do, you just kind of like hanging around, you know. They've got one song dedicated to pub, like they've called it Pub Feed. Yeah. You know? And it's just dedicated to getting a like chicken parma at a pub. And it's just banging. Everyone was listening to it.
Yeah, people loved it. Do you think it's because they like related to the lifestyle so much? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Because in Australia, we've got this very sort of I don't know. You got to be outbacky. You got to like kinda get in with nature, but you also got to go down to the pub for a feed, and you got to get down, celebrate with your mates, and just kind of hang out. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the culture it is. I think the boys do a really good job of like kind of celebrating that and showing that to people. So yeah, I'd say more of that culture and like that indie sort of like surf rock. You know, like Ocean Alley.
Yeah.
Lime Cordiale, if you ever heard of it, that was big in my like before I got into techno.
No.
Oh, okay, they've got some good stuff going on. It always takes me back to some good times.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'd say that's about it. Like indie alternative rock. That's kind of the main sort of like listener base apart from techno in Melbourne. Like if you're not in the scene, that's what you're listening to.
Yeah, on average, the average person would be considering that.
But like more of that stuff rather than like pop from overseas, you know? Yeah. Australians kind of have that sort of like, I don't want to listen to Americans. You know?
Like, it's kind of elitism, almost kind of like protectionism.
Yeah, you know, they're like, oh, well, if we start listening to them, then like, you know, like there's such a culture of Australians wanting to talk shit about America as a whole. Yeah. That we don't want to appreciate the good bits, which don't get me wrong. America has some really big problems. They've also got some great culture in like different bits and stuff. Yeah. Like without America, we wouldn't have Scissor. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Come on, like you gotta appreciate everything that comes out of there.
No Kendrick.
Exactly. Like, could you imagine?
Yep.
It'd be a different world. But yeah, definitely. We try to stay Australian, as the Australians would say. Try to stay true blue as you can. You know, like. Try to not stray away and try to like really support different bases. It's like even with Starbucks tried to come to Melbourne. Yeah. And they flopped.
Really?
Yeah. And nobody was buying their stuff. And they...
Is there a big kind of local coffee base?
100%. Yeah. Everyone wants to support like local businesses and not support stuff like Shein or whatever. Like I've seen so much Shein here and fast fashion, you know, like these one-time buys, whatever. Whereas in Australia, it's like you
way
wear
less common. Or people would look down on you if they knew.
Yeah,
whereas here it's kind of more people just don't really care, I guess.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you got that on you. No worries. Keep going on my day. Whereas if someone's like, oh yeah, I got this at Shein, they'll be like,
mate, Shein, come on.
What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing, mate? You know, like it's just not on.
Yeah. But yeah. Do you think that's just kind of a Melbourne thing, or do you think that's Australia wide? Because I wonder if you were talking before about it's a bit more, I don't know, alternative. From the way you describe it, kind of sounds like the Brooklyn,
maybe
Brooklyn to the New York of Australia almost.
Maybe it is. I mean, maybe it is just a Melbourne thing. We like to say that we're the culture capital.
Is Starbucks in Sydney?
Maybe I don't think so though.
True.
Maybe it is just a Melbourne though. I haven't gone to Sydney in ages, but it could.
Is it
just
far?
be
Because
Melbourne.
everything is on the perimeter, right? Because there's
Yeah.
nothing in the middle.
It's
just way
pretty-
too hot in the middle, right?
Oh, literally, if you go anywhere like to the left, like good luck.
Yeah.
It's like it's gonna take you so long, but I don't know. Like getting around to Sydney, it's pretty good. There's literally like a train that I would catch
Oh,
to go
does it
visit
for
my
you?
grandpa, like grandma and
Yeah.
grandpa and stuff and whatnot. And then from there, it's like easy to get up as well. But yeah, like it's all pretty like I don't know. Melbourne's very different from the rest of it. Like they're very different cultures, if that makes sense. Like even like
Kind of different values. Like people are
Yeah.
aspiring for different things there.
exactly.
Find different things more important.
Yeah, 100%. Like Melbourne's very like sort of we want to make sure that we're like ethical and we want to make sure that we're like always following the good rules and no matter if that like has to cut any cost around there, you know, like it's just I don't know, in a way it's kind of toxic that you know, like there was this whole debate of like, well, what if I only have $10 and I need to buy myself like shoes?
Yeah.
I'm going to shop on Shein. And everyone's like, well, you can't do that. You have to go
You
in
shouldn't do
thrift.
that.
It's like some people don't have the option to do that and stuff. So when do the morals become, you know,
kind of
like
stuffy almost or kind of exclusive.
yeah,
New form of exclusion.
yeah, exactly. It's really weird, but I don't know. I'll have to go to Sydney sometime and see if there's a Starbucks. Maybe, hopefully, if I go up to somebody from Sydney and say, "Hey, where's the nearest Starbucks?" They'll tell me to get fucked. But maybe they'll be like, "Yeah, right around the corner."
Right,
Who
right,
knows?
yeah.
Like.
We'll have to test it.
Yeah, maybe I will. But yeah, I don't know. I think also that comes in with a lot of techno as well, which is what I've seen. Just thinking about it as well, really randomly, is that like when I saw Stum or whatever, like didn't even know he was Australian until I went to the show.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, "Oh, Australian icon, love this guy."
Love
I'm
this
like,
legend.
"That's crazy. Where is he from?" And he's like, "Melbourne." He's like 3 suburbs down from you.
Oh my
And
god.
I'm like, that's crazy. He's
Yeah.
got such good mixes. Like, that's wild.
Was Flume from there as well, do you think? Or
I don't know where Flume's from in Australia. Actually.
Is there like a hotbed of artistic kind of talent?
Definitely definitely Melbourne. I'd say
Yeah.
like all the other places are very good for that indie and like sort of like alternative rock sort of stuff, more like acoustic stuff.
But
Whereas,
Melbourne's kind of the EDM,
Yeah.
kind of like all kind of flavors
yeah, Tech
is
Central.
where that's happening.
Yeah, which is really good. I love it
They
so
got the
much.
computers down there.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, we've got Wi-Fi. You know, it's crazy. Just unlike that, guys. It's like shit, Perth.
Do they not? Is it their bad connectivity? Is it a
Oh, I think they're
Big
still
thing?
figuring out how to light fire, honestly.
Oh.
But nah. Love everyone from Perth.
Yeah.
Love everyone from Perth. Hope you make it out alive.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no,
catching
like
strays?
yeah, literally left, right, and center. Yeah, no, in Melbourne, there's such an appreciation for techno music, which I really love. Some good artists as well that have come out. Like, I don't know if you know Goatye, the guy who did Somebody I Used to Know. Yeah, literally like...
He gave up on that style after, right? Like
Yeah.
he was basically done after he did that song. He was like, I'm doing a
I'm
completely
over.
different thing.
Yeah.
He switched his name, I think. I believe
Did he?
he like started a new name to create a whole new project because
Oh, no
he wanted to
way.
continue doing art, but after he had that, he was
Yeah,
like,
bro, he's
I'm
like,
done
nah,
with
this ain't
Goatye.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that ties into what we were saying about like...
Being trapped in a persona. He escaped it, I guess.
I mean, yeah, you see the same with Joji as well. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
That
like
is a
changing up. That is
big-
crazy.
So I guess there's always hope that you can leave behind your past. If Filthy Frank was able to churn into Joji,
Joji make me cry at night every
Yeah.
night. Like, if he can do it, anyone
can do it.
You know?
Yeah, it's never too late to change.
No, exactly. But yeah, no, I guess I haven't really been able to see much of the techno experience in much of other places of Australia and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember I was in Brisbane, went to a couple of clubs, and they were actually playing more EDM stuff.
Yeah.
Now thinking about it, like it
Kinda
wasn't really
like
that hard
classic
stuff.
poppy stuff you're
Yeah,
saying?
more like that sing along sort of
Yeah.
stuff, like things that people definitely know. You know, like the 100% crowd
Avicii
places.
style, like,
Yeah, exactly. You know, like Geronimo's, they're
Wake
animals.
me up.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
yeah. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Like, yeah. Which I feel like Ottawa has the same thing. I would absolutely love to see Canada get more of an appreciation for like the European style and whatnot. Like coming to Ottawa has definitely been mind opening with that sort of
Yeah,
like,
I was
difference.
actually very curious. I want to talk to you about the differences you've noticed in like venues and then also just kind of natural spaces of what the average person is listening to, what the person is throwing on aux when they're at the house party and someone gives them the speaker.
Yeah.
Like, what have you noticed? Australia, someone doesn't know what to play. They're like, oh God, what do I do? I have aux. Like, what do you think the go-to option might be?
In Australia?
In an Australia university house party, you have 10 of your mates over.
Probably Fred again.
Fred again?
I'd say like that would be the safe bet.
Yeah.
Like if you play Fred again, maybe mix it up into some more Australian stuff. Like if you played Flume, everyone would be like, oh my God, this guy.
Yeah, again,
Like get him on aux again. Like keep him going. You know?
They like it.
They'd
it's
be
not
like,
too much.
hell
yeah, he's
you
our
know,
boy because he's Australian. And
Yeah.
it's also like an appreciation for him. That's
yeah,
cool.
like there's such an appreciation for someone who like even just says like, yeah, I'm really like Australia. They're like, yeah, this is my ride or die. You know, like as soon as you're fucking with us, we're fucking with you. You know, like it's great.
Is there like a playlist? I know that Spotify has some curated playlist, or Rap Caviar is a very easy go-to if you're playing rap music. Is there a playlist like that in Australia that people might default to?
I know there's one playlist that I know every single buddy in Australia will have saved onto their Spotify, and I think it's let me be able to find it because I think it's called something like Australian Summer or something like that.
Oh, okay, very simple.
Yeah,
but it gives that feeling.
Yeah, it's
What do you think the energy it provides would be?
There we go. It's called Aussie Summer.
Aussie Summer. Okay.
Aussie Summer. And everybody will listen to it. As soon as like a ray of sunshine hits, you'll be able to go down the block and like every third house they'll be like playing this this playlist or like something on this playlist.
Australian, what is it, Big Booty Mix?
Yeah, no, exactly.
But it's a playlist. It's not like a pre-recorded DJ set.
Yeah, like it's just the indie techno. I mean, sort of like indie indie like alternative rock sort of stuff. But then once you get into the more niches and more like house party stuff, and then it's that kind of stuff. I don't know if I feel like a lot of people make their own playlists actually.
Well, it seems like there's more of a culture of people DJing because I feel like you started seeing it in high school. Was when you saw the first pair of decks?
I'd say like
maybe, what grade do you think?
Oh, year 12, like last year.
Yeah,
last year. I feel like, I don't know, it's a bit hard because my year 12 was in COVID. Like my last year was in COVID. So I didn't really get the chance to go out that much and go clubbing as soon as I was able to, you know, like everyone turns 19, they're like, or if they're 18 here, they go to Quebec and be able to experience it there. But like, I wasn't really able to go and see it. And I feel like COVID kind of really shifted the change of it. Like everyone out of it was just like, I just need some like fucking doon to get me through the day, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say what everybody listens to because I feel like after COVID, like the whole music industry is like shattered in a way.
Yeah,
you know? Like it's still rebuilding
definitely
itself.
Affected. Well, there's like a lot of lack of touring, even after COVID. Like once it was allowed, I know a lot of artists have been avoiding Canada because many of them had their tours shut down due to like lockdowns. So I feel like that kind of screwed over a few artists who are like, I'm not going to come back to Canada for a while.
Yeah, fuck those guys. That's like. Dude, I remember when Tyler the Creator finally got... Do you know he was banned from Australia for 4 years?
Tyler was banned for
about this.
5 years.
Yeah, and his first show...
Like Goblin, I think, just being so aggressive or abrasive.
Literally, it was just...
lyrical content.
Yeah, like it was
But then he came back. What was it like when he came back?
It was crazy. Do you remember who, like, shut him down? I forget the name.
I thought it was some government...
Yeah, it was some like...
It was the UK as well. I could have sworn.
Yeah, it was... I think it was one of the UK parliaments... I don't want to be like MP pulling out maybe. My ass, mate. Yeah, it was one of them that was like
outspoken against it. Yeah,
it was like, we can't have him here. Like, listen to this. We can't be showing that to our kids. We got to put a message in. So they banned him for 5 years. Yeah. He comes back and immediately, like his first performance, I remember he comes up to stage like, Melbourne, how are you guys doing tonight? Just want to say, love all you guys. Fuck that bitch, you know, for keeping me away from you guys. You know, let's have a fucking good night and stuff. And everyone was eclectic.
Were you there? Did you get to experience that?
Oh yeah, it was so.
Did he play like a lot of old stuff? Do you think almost as like a protest of it, or was it?
Not really.
Do you know what tour it was? Like, had Igor been released yet?
Yeah, Igor was released. It was Call Me If You Get Lost.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So really, a lot of his later stuff, and I think
that was pretty recent though. Like, it's like a long time. Like you missed a few eras of Tyler.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Period. You missed Flower Boy. You missed Igor.
No, literally, he played. I remember I was praying that he was going to play like See You Again.
Yeah.
And then he did, and I was like, oh my God, like, I cannot believe it. Like, if I could tell You Rate Me, you're going to see this live, he would be like creaming his pants.
Yeah.
Like, sincerely, like, there's no easier way to put it. Like, I was all over.
And
like,
it's crazy. That song's
stuff.
back in the charts. I don't know if it's still there, but like last month when I was like looking at Spotify most played, like See You Again was still up there.
Yeah.
Like that's a timeless song.
It's going to be one of those things. Everyone says like these newer songs are like made for TikToks or whatever. I think some of them are wrong. Like it's some of those songs that come through. It's like,
but it's also not. That's not a TikTok era song. That's like internet era.
Yeah, that's right.
That's 2017. I think 2017, 2018. That's when I bought the CD.
Fuck, true. I think I literally have the CD back at home as well. Like,
yeah, my buddy got to me for a birthday. Like I'd been listening to it before, but that was very impactful. Album on me.
No, literally. I remember.
I thought it was gonna be Scumfuck Flower Boy, and then it was just Flower Boy. I was like, oh come on, Scumfuck Flower Boy was such a cooler name.
That's what I mean. He can't
I
get
remember
banned
seeing
again.
those hoodies too.
Yeah,
with the rotating text. Like, oh god,
literally.
I need to get one.
Dude, I like
scour the archives.
I wanted a golf, like any golf merch so bad just because of that sort of stuff. I was like, yeah, fuck the government, fuck this, fuck that. I'm gonna get some Tyler. Yeah, literally. Dude, he turned me into a little rascal.
Edgelord, yeah.
Yeah, literally. And I'm looking back now. I'm like, oh my god, come on, man.
So aggressive.
What
Chill
are you
out.
doing? Yeah, just listen to some Brutalismus, man. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and you're just there, peaceful, and like love everybody, and it's like.
Literally.
Satan was a boomer is the song.
Yeah. Satan was a baby boomer. Like, what do you mean? Oh, he would. Yeah, if I
so
showed.
you still got that dog in you.
Literally,
Yeah.
he's inside there. He's woofing a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, what was your original question?
I have no idea.
The difference.
Yeah, difference in Australian house party culture versus because I guess we'll talk about universities because you were in university in Australia and you experienced university kind of parties there, and then so you were saying the default is kind of that one Aussie summer playlist.
Yeah.
And then people would be playing some EDM like Fred Again, Flume.
Yeah.
Which here isn't like the most mainstream EDM, I don't think, but it's known.
Yeah.
But like I feel like there's other artists who are a bit bigger than that. But it would make sense that regionally, like your top talent would be kind of top of the litter.
No, exactly.
And then so you're coming. What are you noticing in Canada, like Canadian house parties or Canadian dorm rooms you're in? What are people playing when there's kind of a group of students there?
Yeah. It's definitely a lot more like EDM-y, like more lyrical, more. I don't know. There's not as many like bring it up really high, then kind of like let it simmer, then bring it up. It's kind of like more constant.
Okay, constant energy levels, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, whereas like Melbourne or like the techno that I listen to and my mates will listen to are very like
or more like tempo. You're talking about like just the BPM gets so high.
No, I'd say more energy.
Okay,
yeah, it's very much like it will kind of just like stay constant. You know, there'll be little drops and little highs and little up. There's be like, as far as like techno goes, it's pretty chilled, but like. Yeah, in Melbourne, it's very like sort of, aha, we got you. No, chill. Talk to your friends a little bit. And, we're getting up. And it's doof, 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 doof.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas I feel like that doesn't happen as much. Like I went to what was it? Igloo Fest? Yeah, Igloo Fest. And so...
you're talking about actual like festivals now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the festival's pretty similar, you know? Like it's a little bit less like I feel like we've got more of a like European like kind of vibe and kind of lens
in Australia.
Yeah. Whereas here it's very like sort of EDM-y, very like I don't know, hasn't changed very much. Whereas I feel like we've really adopted that sort of that sort of like Berlin, and we kind of really want to be edgy with our techno, and really want to like be listening to what they want to listen
for
to.
10 minutes.
Exactly. I just want to get pure vibes, you know. But yeah, and I feel like that has really translated into the house parties I go to. Like I remember there've been a couple of times I've been at pre's like here,
yes,
and whatever. And I've been like, oh, like can I cue a song or whatever? And they've been like, yeah, go for it. Let's get the Australian on blast. And
yeah.
I've played like a Brutalismus song or whatever. I'd be like, okay, this will get the vibes up.
Yeah.
And everyone's been like,
what the hell?
What is this guy playing?
What
like,
is this going?
What is this?
Yeah.
Like, is this even music?
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like if you're in the wrong crowd, then they're not even gonna have listened to techno at all.
Oh, literally.
So they're like,
no
what the
exposure.
hell is this? Yeah, there's all yeah.
Yeah.
So even if you played I mean, what would even commercial techno be? I don't even know. I feel like for me, like I see commercial techno as like a techno remix of a popular song.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
I don't know what the mainstream
bass.
techno would be.
Yeah, me neither, honestly.
But even that, like people I notice here are just kind of not able to handle that high.
Yeah,
tempo.
they don't want to hear
They
something
just don't know
new.
what to do. I don't think so.
Yeah, they want to
Yeah.
hear something that they know, and I feel like
I noticed that a lot.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Ottawa and like what like
There's maybe less patience for something that's
yeah.
not familiar.
And I think as well, like, don't get me wrong, everyone loves nostalgia. Like, I want to be reminded of the good times, but like in Canada, it's all like
All
that,
100%
Like it's either that or
nostalgia.
country. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of people don't listen to country in Australia. Like we'll listen to old Australian country,
Yeah.
but like anything new, like
Almost bluesy more than
yeah, you know. Whereas
commercial
like
country.
yeah, we want to like kind of experiment a little bit and like you know have fun with it. If it isn't good, then it isn't good. But like we'll still give it a listen to and give it a crack. But in Canada, it's kind of this whole thing. It's like, well, I don't know this. Why am I? I'm not gonna get hyped up for a party in this.
Yeah, for a song that I don't know.
Yeah, like put on some fucking Rihanna. Which don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
love Rihanna,
Love it,
I've got
yeah.
so many remixes of hers, and I will bang that shit out of my car. But like it's all of that sort of stuff, like that 2010s sort of stuff. Maybe a remix as well,
Yeah.
but it's almost like sometimes not even that. Like that's kind of the closest I've been to.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of like reverting or like regressing to childhood.
That's what I was thinking. I was very
Yeah.
taken back by that, and I remember telling a lot of my friends back home. I was like, yeah, they are listening to a lot of like older stuff and a lot of like nostalgic stuff, which is great, and it's like for its own parts. But also, like, I miss techno, you know? Like,
I
where's my
want a tier
brutalismus?
909 kick.
Exactly. Where's the
I want to hear the
bass?
same kick drum for 64
Literally.
bars.
I want to be hearing when I'm going to sleep and when I wake
Yeah.
the fuck up, you know?
Get these vocals out of here.
But yeah, I'd say for the main part, that's kind of the main difference. Is I feel like the nostalgia factor is a lot bigger here, and a lot of more people
Yeah.
appreciate that. Whereas,
I think I fall into that a lot when I DJ more commercial crowds or more
Yeah.
student themed events.
yeah,
Just because it's kind of almost easier, like because you know it's gonna work. And then
Exactly.
I think what we were talking about before, where it's like there's just maybe in Europe or maybe in Australia, people are willing to kind of wait and explore more. Whereas, like if you lose a crowd, I've noticed here that when you lose a crowd, they're on their phones within like seconds, and a crowd can clear in one song. Like
No,
if you don't get
literally.
out of the song early enough,
It's so quick.
you're kind of just in the back of my mind. I'm kind of almost always going for the songs that I know will work. So I kind of had to like almost like remember the music that I like in my DJing.
Yeah.
So I created a crate called Dean's Favorites, that are like all the songs that I like. So I'm just like, don't forget,
No.
don't let them take it away from you.
no, literally, my identity.
You like more than just Rihanna
Exactly.
and Justin Bieber.
Love my boy. Believe it till I die.
But there is something about it, because I think as time goes on with the internet and stuff like that, my theory on it is just that we're losing collective culture or kind of like shared experiences, because everything's being fractured off into what you personally like the most.
Yeah.
So everyone gets to experience all these crazy new random artists that they like the most for them, but then there's no kind of monoculture that you can all dance to and all experience together because you all know it. So then we're kind of harking back to this period of time where there was a monoculture and everyone experienced the same artwork to this like scale of the before times.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like as well, like, and maybe I'm spewing. Obviously, I wasn't there in the 80s and didn't get to fully experience it. But like, even like talking to like my mum and dad, and talking to like all of my friends' mums and dads and everything. Like back then, there was more segmented as well. You know, like mum listened to Radiohead, dad listened to U2, you know, sort of thing. But like, they didn't really
and genre
cross.
too. Like rock people wouldn't really mess with hip hop people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Country people. And there was a huge backlash against disco. Like disco was huge, but then it became oversaturated, and then there's a pendulum shift back against it.
Which is almost kind of interesting. Do you reckon like that's kind of what's kind of happening now in Ottawa? 'Cause I don't know. I haven't been here for a while.
I don't know if it's that. I think it's just, I think people's taste has shattered so much that no one can really be a mono genre. Can't really be defined by one genre because streaming, there's no cost to experiencing a new genre. One theory I read about was that in the 80s and the 90s, the reason you had people who were ride or die for one genre was because it was so expensive to buy records that you had to commit like 30 or 40 bucks just to get one record. So
you gotta make that your personality.
Yeah. So it's like you bought the rock record and you're like, oh, I like this. I'm gonna spend another 30 bucks. Am I gonna experiment on this hip hop album, or am I gonna buy another rock album from the artist that I know I like? I'm gonna do that.
Exactly.
And then so you get people kind of their entire library becomes dominated by one or two genres that they know they like because just the cost to experiment is so high. But now that there's zero cost to experiment, people's taste can be infinite and they can pull from hundreds of or thousands of genres.
Yeah, whatever they want, like whatever they these want. Days.
Exactly.
You know, like,
yeah. And so it's like your favorite artist can be someone that has 100,000 streams a month, maybe.
Yeah.
And then like that could be your favorite. But then like if you play that to a crowd, like they have their own top artist who has 100,000 plays.
Exactly. It's not
But
Tyler.
like there still is like a monoculture when it comes to music, like a mainstream like Ice Spice or Doja Cat and maybe even 21 Savage at this point. I guess Drake's the easiest example. Like Drake is cross genre, cross age, he envelops everything.
Oh, literally, he takes over.
Takes over for sure. Canadian. Yeah,
Canadian icon, Toronto man.
Try that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Especially I never knew he was Canadian until I came here.
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't act that way.
No, he doesn't. And then coming here, I'm like,
God, baby.
Yeah, no, literally. I'm just like, I'm looking at him. I'm like, I see the where my hug, you know, like showering without me. Like that's Drake, like straight up. It's crazy. But yeah, I would never have expected that before. Like, I feel like Australians don't really understand what the difference is here.
Mm-hmm. Well, like Canada's like pretty small population wise compared to a lot of the world. So.
Yeah, true.
What do you think Australia's at? Do you know?
Like population wise?
Yeah, we're at like 40 million, I think.
I think we're like only like 26. We might have hit 30 by now, but
ooh. So I guess we're similar.
Yeah,
wavelengths.
Pretty similar.
But you don't have like a massive 400 million population country, but well, I guess China is kind of north of you and they have
exactly
half the world's population. So.
Yeah, they got that going for us. We'll have the deserts, I guess. You know,
nice dunes.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have the Great Barrier Reef. Oh wait.
Oh,
you know, gone but not forgotten. Yeah, tough.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh man, ran over the steam a little bit, drink some water.
Exactly.
I think we got maybe 30 minutes before we got to leave for Ollie's.
Oh, easy.
Tonight
done.
is country night.
Yeah.
Do you have anything prepped? Do you
country
have a cowboy hat?
Yeah. Oh, we did have one.
Rhythm.
We
should play that. That'd be good. I don't know. Well, yeah.
That would not fly with the crowd.
Yeah, I don't think they'd like it at all.
Everybody who came last week for Taylor Swift is going to hear that and be like, what the fuck? Did I get the right venue?
Hello.
Mom, come pick me up, please.
Take me home. Oh, but yeah, I guess I was curious about maybe more genre-wise, like what you were noticing in Canada compared to Australia, because you were saying Australia is kind of university party age is techno, house being the primary techno, and then some EDM, and then average listener being alternative indie kind of rock style. What genres are you seeing in Canada or at the around the speakers that you've been hanging around?
So much more like country. Country is a huge one. Like I didn't even know a lot of different like country artists that I now know because of here. That a lot of like I'd say like a lot of like The Weeknd and stuff. Like a lot of like In My Feels sort of like
R&B, moody, sexual kind of.
Exactly. Like I feel like that's that whole like Drake sort of stuff going on in The Weeknd, you know, everyone. But I also feel like maybe that's just a sort of thing of like representing you guys as well, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's like our Canadian thing, so we want to be playing it a lot, like a lot of The Weeknd. But even though worldwide Drake and The Weeknd are like very, very dominant.
It's still so like big here. Yeah, I'd say that a lot of like older stuff as well. Like even if we're listening like in Australia to like indie and like alternative music, it's normally like the newer ones, like in the last like 5-10 years. Whereas like in Canada, I've noticed that it's a lot of like sort of stuff that's like 10 years plus.
Yeah, nostalgia factor because
Yeah.
kind of filtered and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a lot of that sort of
Yeah.
stuff that I'm like, I haven't heard this song. I kind of low-key forgot it existed.
Yeah. I feel like I've been kind of out of the loop with the indie scene for a while because that was what I was most obsessed with from grade 9 to 10.
Yeah.
And then I'd say 11 to 12 is when I got into hip hop, and that became huge for me. And I only really started getting into EDM in the like last year of university for me.
Yeah.
So
I think it only recently became like obviously
that
it's
was
been
like
around,
the first time I was
but-
at a house party where someone even had DJ decks. Like I hadn't been to a house party with someone DJing before, like ever really thought about it until my like last year or second last year of university.
No, 100%. I feel like it's become a lot more common for that as well. Like the actual like live mixing, you know, like
Yeah.
like throughout
I
all
think
of
a
high
lot of
school.
people picked it up in the pandemic.
Yeah, you know, it was this nice little thing you can do. Like play around with your music. You know, you love your playlist so much you want to like actually like play it. You know, it's almost like you're playing the music yourself. I mean, technically,
I'm literally him.
Yeah, literally.
I'm Drake.
Yeah, I'm Flume, man. I'm Dub
It's
Dollar.
me.
Yeah.
I don't even have to learn to produce the music. I can just press play.
Exactly. What do you mean? It's so easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the internet kind of has made it so much more accessible, which is the cool thing. And even music
Yeah.
production, the pipeline, like I think that's what I have to do for the next year or so is like if I want to keep DJing and getting and improving and getting the next level.
Yeah.
Like learning production is so huge.
just get the knowledge up in
'Cause
you.
that's like you can build an audience off of DJing, but you're very dependent locally for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's kind of like people who see you in person, whereas like I feel like that's kind of just because of like copyright laws and stuff. Like your DJ mixes can't travel in the same way a song with a hyperlink can be texted to a person or used
Exactly.
in a Instagram audio.
Yeah, it's like what are the in between steps between being like too small that they're not going to care, they're not going to sue you, they know you don't have the money, to being
Yeah.
like so big that it's like if you even suggest it, then like you've
Yeah.
already got the copyrights because
the
they want you to play their
lawyers
shit.
are emailing you.
Yeah, you know, like I don't know, it's a very hard medium, you know, and very hard to like get bigger DJing as well.
Oh yeah,
And like so
yeah.
like it's such a like
super
cutthroat.
saturated.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's like that's the kind of cool thing is like I guess like so many more people are into it, but then it makes it harder to make it like a real full-time career.
No, 100%. It's such a like double-edged sword because
But I mean that's like every creative endeavor. Just like the internet makes it easier and education becomes better and better. So you just kind of have to be the best. Like you already had to be the top 1%, but I guess now you have to just be the top 0.1%.
yeah, literally.
And even then,
it just
like,
becomes even
who
more
knows if
niche.
you can make money.
Yeah, exactly. It's all just
I don't know.
luck.
I've heard it's all merch. Like that's the only way you make money. Like you don't really make money off of people listening to music.
making
since
off
Spotify.
streams.
No, there's no money in
Not a
streams. It's all
chance.
the live experience. But I mean, that's kind of all I really care about is the live show. Like I like DJing and like I wasn't even really thinking about making music up until like a few months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the way.
But even then, it's like I only really want to make music to like make songs that don't exist that will fit into my DJ sets because like I care mostly about being in that room with those people and
Yeah.
having that like connection.
And that's awesome. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to think about like all of the, like sound production, but then also it just being like this fun thing. Like for me, like it was just this fun thing once upon a time of just, you know, my mates are mixing, so I'll join in with them. Like,
Yeah,
let's
I'll
have
try
some
it
fun.
out.
This is just
Yeah.
me hanging out. You know, it's the same
Yeah.
as like sitting by a fire. You're sitting by some decks.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know? And now it's, for so many people, it's this actual like career and it's this actual like bigger thing. And once you really get into the culture, like it is, you see the potential and you see how this could be such a big like instrument, even just for change, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
like you could do whatever.
You
like,
can
see all the
assemble
TikTok
people and-
mashups.
Yeah. Figure out what they want, what you want. Building an audience around your taste or like what you're actually into is such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Because like you've just assembled a group of people who have like values that align with you.
Exactly.
Like, if you were talking to that Austin guy who was like talking to me before the show, he was like, your fans are like your audience or like the people you bring out are so polite. Like I've never
Everybody
seen a
must
bar.
love you.
Like I haven't seen people at a bar that are like that nice. Like usually people are drunk and just being kind of assholes.
Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
for like DJs and like going out to play like places. Like a lot of people are just like,
It's like kind of the worst
crazy
version of
with it.
themselves at night. And then you notice I noticed that a lot is because I've been sober or like I was sober for like 2 years while I was starting this whole DJ thing just as like a personal growth challenge. But I was seeing people while I was sober and just like fully aware of everything going on, behaving in a drunken manner. And I'm like, oh, you're just a worse version of yourself.
You're just being a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Come on.
No, literally. And that's the hard thing as well, especially with all the techno stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like bad culture that goes on as well as the good. Like,
yeah, it is cool, but I've definitely noticed more in like EDM. There's kind of like a link with drugs and like harder substances, which is kind of a bummer because it's like people are at a higher risk of maybe doing something more aggressive or hurting themselves more
100%.
than. But also not like alcohol is like that much better. Alcohol is probably one of the worst substances you can put in your body.
Yeah, pretty
And,
much.
like, it's like, I don't know. There's some crazy statistic of like pretty much every like 80% of all crimes, either the person who it's perpetrated against or the perpetrator has alcohol in their system.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, I guess we're just a bit more familiar with it, but it is like interesting, like how linked it seems to be with the music.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole being under the influence, you know, like.
I wish people are just more comfortable dancing. Like, I think that's the big
Yeah.
thing is like people are doing it because they want to feel like confident and they don't want to feel self-conscious. And then like people feel really self-conscious or scared or anxious when they're dancing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, people are watching me, but it's like no one's watching it. Everyone's
you.
concerned about themselves.
Yeah, everyone's scared that you're watching them. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
There's always a bigger fish.
So
you know?
it's kind of funny, like when you're DJing sober for such a long time, like you just get over that discomfort and it just becomes
Yeah.
normal. But like, I feel like for a long time, even I was doing that where I'd like have a few drinks to like feel more confident and not feel self-conscious.
Yeah, exactly.
But like the trick is just doing it so very few times until you realize that
It's
no
not
one
that
actually
deep.
cares.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like I think for me personally, I'm still in that stage of like I do need to be drinking if I'm going out. You know, like I need to be doing that because then I find that if I'm not drinking, even if nobody's asking me, "Hey man, why aren't you drinking?" I feel like they're thinking it almost sort of thing. And like that's with everyone, you know,
Yeah.
like everybody has that sort of thing. It's like the only reason why I wouldn't be drinking would be because I'm driving everyone home and being like really nice for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't always have to be that. It
Yeah.
can just be to enjoy it. Like the amount of nights that like I've been like, fuck, I kind of actually wish that I remembered more because
Yeah.
like I
It was
was
a good
so
time.
drunk.
And it was more regrettable. I guess.
Yeah, you know, like
that
it
makes
was
sense.
like there was fun and like the pictures were good and it was all right, I guess.
Yeah, it
And
was kind of a blur.
yeah, but I'm like, fuck, I wish I didn't drink so much or wish I didn't
Yeah.
drink at all, you know? Now I'm stuck with this hangover and some like shitty
pain.
blurred memories and I'm going, oh, fuck, why did I do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Literally.
it's just stupid. But yeah, I don't know. It's this very hard thing. I feel like there's no real good way to combat that yet. I would love to see like society and like just the whole music culture, especially DJing, progress past that and
Yeah.
kind of become more of a...
I think I see it happening in two kind of ways. There's like sober festivals. So there's this one called Daybreakers, which is pretty nutty. Like I think it's cool. It hasn't happened in Ottawa. It has happened in Toronto. It's in more American cities, I believe. But in Daybreakers, the whole point is it's a music festival at like 5 a.m. on a weekday.
Oh, damn.
So they basically all assemble and they do like an hour of yoga together as the sun rises. And it's just all these people who are completely sober doing yoga together. Some people dress up in like banana outfits or like they have crazy festival wear, but they're doing yoga and they're watching the sunrise. And then after the yoga session, they'll get DJs out, they'll get music blasting, and then people are just dancing for like an hour straight. And then kind of around 8 a.m. or something, they basically just cut it like, thanks for coming out to Daybreakers. And then people will literally shower, take the train, and head off to work.
That's
And I'm like, those are the kind of
crazy.
people I want to be around. Like, imagine being like so, like you want to have a good time, but then you're also so on the ball with like everything else that you're getting to
you can
work.
still do that.
You can do that.
Yeah, because the
So-
only thing I could think of that would ever come close is that I went clubbing so late that I got back home that people are going into work, you know? Like, I'm catching an
Literally.
Uber in and somebody's
Yeah.
catching an Uber to work and we kind of look at each other and we're like, I know you, you know? Like, I
Yes.
see what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. You see
Like,
the
it's
eye bags.
crazy. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, oh, you know, that's an awesome thing though. Like,
Yeah.
I have
I've
never heard
experienced
anything
it,
like
but
that.
It does sound cool. There's also another one called it's called like Secular Sabbath, I believe. I think Flume's involved in it.
Nice.
Might be Diplo or someone else. But there's a few of these big EDM artists that hold this completely sober music festival in the desert. I don't even know if it's a festival or a gathering of artists. It might be more exclusive than that, but that's like another kind of sober event I've heard of.
Nice.
And then the final one, I think, where it's not even like really a club, or I guess it is a club of sorts. It's not really a dance party, but like spin classes are kind of like EDM clubs, depending on the one you're in. Some of them have live DJs, some of them have crazy visuals with like lights going above the bikes, and it's super dark. So depending on the spin club you're in, or maybe early morning workout club, that's almost like kind of the sober opposite to the substance-filled nightclub.
Yeah, no, now that you actually say that, you're exactly on the money. Like it is exactly right. It's, yeah, maybe I need to do more spin classes, damn.
Yeah.
To help progress my DJing.
Yeah, you want to do one before you leave Australia? My girlfriend's obsessed with them.
Oh, easy done. You know,
and they have interesting themes. She likes them because they had like, one time they had like a female rap spin class, and she's obsessed with that. So she's like Megan Thee Stallion, Doja.
That's
like
awesome.
Going nuts.
Yeah, like vibing to it. I'm just pretending I'm riding to work. Like, it's great. Okay, yeah. You know, just rocking and be like, hey, by the way, for this session, I got my USB. You know, like play the good
mix.
shit.
You might like it.
Yeah, you might like some Brutalismus. You know? Satan was a baby boy. Yeah, they'll be pumping.
I think they're playing. Have you heard of Altego? The twins.
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
mashups. They're very popular in the spin classes because
Yeah.
it's like the nostalgia with a new twist, I guess, because it's two nostalgic songs thrown together in a way that feels fresh, but then both songs are calling to that.
Yeah, you get the nostalgia, plus you get that pumping, like the feeling of that it's like the song has grown up with you now, and like you get it now. It's with you. It's not.
You also understand the lyrics now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh my
all
god,
those crazy double entendres, or some of them weren't even subtle.
No, literally.
No,
it's crazy. Like, what was it? So many like Rihanna songs that I've been listening to. I've been
blow
like, oh
my
my
whistle,
god.
baby,
whistle, baby.
And you're like, I was a child.
Literally, I'm like, oh my god.
I had no idea.
Who was it? What, Flow Rider made that song?
Yes.
Yeah, like listening to that back in the day, and now I'm hearing the Josh Hutcherson edit, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the Josh Hutcherson. And I'm like listening to him, like,
wait a second.
Oh my god, he's talking about his penis. He's talking about his penis. What the fuck?
Oh god, no.
You know, calling up mom, you need to delete every video from that year.
Singing the radio.
Just bad.
Oh, that's funny. It's all in good fun though.
Exactly. Oh, you gotta have it.
Yeah,
you gotta have it.
Okay,
yeah.
I think I'm gonna end it with my like last question for you, but
of course,
because we got about maybe 15 minutes left before we got to jet to Country Night at Ollie's. Buy your tickets now.
Big plug. Let's get it.
Alex's last Ollie's in Canada.
Yes, sir. Gonna be a good one.
Big night. Big night.
Big night for the kid.
Bring your boots.
Yes, sir.
But I'm curious, what are there Canadian artists that you had never heard of before that like coming here you like found out about or like learned about?
Yeah.
Or like were you surprised by any people like you'd never heard of that like everyone here knew?
Mainly the country. I feel like there wasn't a lot of. I feel like because the EDM scene is so different to Melbourne that like I kind of like people be like, oh my god, I like this artist and I like this artist and I like this artist. I like never really like got a chance to like be like, okay, cool, let me listen to them or let me listen to them. Oh god, which sucks.
So you're saying there's like
other ones
differences in the EDM culture in Canada to Australia?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I'm curious. What would you say the difference is? You notice where?
I'd say it's just more so not as existent in Australia. Like,
really,
it's just not really that talked about. I feel like a lot of people have this kind of bias against it.
You're talking about the kind of like 2010s big room style, yeah.
You know, everyone kind of feels that's like everyone else is on the track of listening to more newer techno stuff, so I've got to be that. Otherwise, I don't want to get left behind. You know, whereas like here, it's kind of that more authentic. Like, I like this music.
Yeah, like
I'm
I've
just gonna
liked this
listen
for
to
10
it.
years.
Yeah, like why change? You know, if it's not broken, don't fix it. You know, like. So I feel like it's very more authentic. Did go. I think I saw. What was it? Escapade.
Yeah, Escapade
I
Music
think.
Festival is the big EDM one in Ottawa. But they have techno.
Yeah.
Chase and Status are coming, so that's gonna be
right.
so fucking sick.
Yeah, even
Drum
Chase.
and bass is coming this year.
Oh
baby.
yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
No, then I'm thinking of someone else. It's a name similar to Escapade that I'm like. I was listening to a bunch of their stuff and was like, okay, like this is, I can actually like really dig it. But apart from that, I've kind of, I don't know. I've still got that Melbourne mentality about me that I'm like,
You're like, oh,
I don't want to listen too much and love it too much because I know if I get back home, everyone's gonna be like, "Who are you?" Like,
yeah, they're gonna be making fun of you.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
ruined Alex.
Yeah, you know, they got my boy. You know.
Yeah. Are there? Yeah, I mean, maybe is there any music you're gonna be bringing back? Do you think when you get back to Melbourne, like, because you've been here how long? Like a year?
Yeah, nearly like 8 months. I think it's been.
Yeah, almost a
hot
year.
minute. Crazy time.
Yeah. What were you not experiencing before that you might be excited to share when you get back?
Probably Bad Bunny, honestly.
Bad Bunny, really?
Like,
he does, like, there's no real South American kind of influence
I
there?
don't think so. Maybe it's just that me and my friends, or my friends didn't show me, or that I never listened to it. But coming down here, it's pretty common.
Do you have a favorite Bad Bunny song? Or?
Not at the moment, unfortunately. Yeah. I wish I did.
But just kind of like reggaeton doesn't really permeate into Australia. Interesting.
Yeah. Which I feel like I've seen a lot of maybe it's just been a recent thing, you know, like I have been gone a year, maybe the culture has shifted a bit and I've just kind of like missed
or maybe
that.
you just like weren't in that kind of scene.
Yeah, but no, that and like a bunch of country, like there was, what was it, Zach Bryan, is he the one that does Something in the Orange?
Yeah, I think so.
So him, like a bunch of those songs, but
like
again,
No Con, kind of Morgan Wallen. Do you think Morgan Wallen made it to Australia?
I don't know. I never listened to him personally, but maybe my friends did. I only found out about Noah Khan whilst I was here, and then he did an Australia tour, and like heaps of people that I knew, like heaps of mutuals were there, and I was like,
and you're like, what's going on? Where did this come from?
I was like, why didn't you tell me sooner about this? This man is sick as fuck. Like, come on. So yeah, I don't know. I think when I get back, I definitely love to see how the culture has shifted, but I think for the main part, it's kind of stayed the same, and I've kind of stayed true to like what I listen to. Yeah, been very stubborn, you know.
Yeah, you didn't want to be changed too much.
Yeah, which like looking back now, I really wish I kind of was more out there and was more like, hey, what do you listen to? Add that to my playlist really quick, because people would be like, oh, you should listen to this. I'd be like, cool, I'll write that down, and then we completely forget to write it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fuck, okay,
don't actually check it.
Yeah, you know. And I was like, never like. There were some songs they'd be like, yeah, like this is really sick or whatever. Listen to it one time, forget to save, and then would completely forget about it again. But then I would really stick to my own stuff. So I really wish I did get more of a sort of feel for like different artists and got to kind of get more involved in the culture. But I think overall I've been really happy that I've been able to like bring my culture and like mesh the two together in a way that's more, it's not more of like a sort of, you're listening to my shit now, or it's not, you're listening to my shit now. It's this kind of handshake, you know? Yeah. And it's like the handshake's done. Now we part ways, you know?
Are there, I don't know, maybe certain artists you notice like you've shared that people like a lot, or things you've put a lot of people onto that like they didn't hear about before?
Definitely probably Fred again, honestly. He's I know he's been mentioned so many times here in this one, like in this 2 hours they've been doing this, but he's been one that like has had a really good reception that I found.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely been kind of like mainstream bridge to house drum and bass now. Techno.
Yeah, but I don't know, other stuff that I've been plugging. I don't know, because it's this very like sort of, it's like I said with the handshake sort of thing of that, like I'll kind of listen to it and like show people and they'll be like, oh my God, that's such a good pre-song. Yeah. They probably won't save it. They'll be like, if it's on, hell yeah, that's awesome. But they're not going to go out of their way to like
find
get
it,
it,
track it down.
Yeah.
I feel like I've changed a lot like through DJing. Now I'm like so much more like document everything, like Shazam everything. You can throw Shazam on your control center. Yeah. Which I find really helpful.
I've seen that, and it's
more
so
subtle
sick.
too, but it's just because you can whip it out immediately. Swipe up, swipe down, and then it's listening. Because that was the worst thing of being like, hey Siri, Shazam or whatever.
Yeah, literally just holding it up a high as and feeling like you're a nonce. Yeah. Yeah, I do remember I was at a Hozier concert at the start of when I came to Canada in Ottawa. Yes. And I was with a bunch of my newfound friends, and one of the girls I was taught that I was like around, I was like, hey, I'll pay you $5 if you hold up Shazam to Hozier's next song. And it was fucking Take Me to Church. So she goes, fucking $5, $5. Like, you're shouting me a drink.
Yeah, that's not
Take me to
all.
church. And she's holding up high. Everybody, like, I hear laughs from all around us.
Fuck.
And she just immediately takes down. She's like, fuck you, $5. You know, you better shout me a drink. And I was like, yeah.
Oh my God, that is evil.
I know, it's horrific. Dude, I was such a menace when I
Did
first
you know, like,
here.
you knew it was up next? Like,
I had no idea. I was like, I was praying to myself, like, make it the most mainstream Hozier song that you can find. And God, did I do well.
Yes, but, that's good timing. Evil timing.
So funny.
That is, I could not imagine the embarrassment. Everyone's
that
staring at you,
I
like,
did shout her a drink.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that for the record. I got my payback.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, crazy times. Crazy times.
I don't know. So Hozier's big in Australia. I guess it's just big worldwide.
Yeah, pretty big.
Yeah,
I feel like Australians
massive.
really like Ireland and Scotland and all of that.
Are there other big Irish acts that made it out there or kind of blew up over there?
A lot of like some of the older like 80s stuff for sure, and like 90s stuff obviously. Like we've got that nostalgia factor for some of those songs. There's probably a bunch that are Irish now, and I'm just gonna have a memory blank, and like in 10 minutes I'm gonna be like, oh my God, that person. Yes. But like I don't know, for those sort of stuff, we definitely have an appreciation for the culture, but I don't know. I'd love to be put on some more Irish. Like if there's more Irish techno and other stuff, like put me on. Like anybody, please.
Send
like
them a link.
Literally, love to support my St. Paddy's folks. It's great down there.
Hell yeah.
Or up there, I should say. Everything's up from me.
Yeah, everything's above you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I keep saying, oh yeah, my fella's down there, and they're like, no, you're down there. Like, you can't be saying that, mate. You know, that's not for you.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess last question. Like last question for real this time. I'm curious. So now you have a club set, you have it recorded. What do you want to do next? Like, are there things you're looking forward to with DJing or going back home? Is there anything you're looking forward to?
It's been such an like eye opener for the whole scene. I honestly, when you hit me up, I never thought that was possible for me. I'm going to be so honest. I never thought that I would play at a club because I was like, this is just...
You didn't respond to me for like days.
Yeah, because I was so scared. I was like,
Alex, please play.
Yeah, I was talking to my girlfriend like each night, and I'm like... I want to do this so bad, but I can't. It's like, can I? Like, no, this is no. Yeah, no. Yeah. You know, like it was such a battle within myself, and then finally, like.
Then what happened?
I get a call from one of my coworkers on my girlfriend's phone saying, hey, I was also high as fuck.
Oh, that's
when you called me as well. I had no idea what was going on. I think I was watching a Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
And Aiden goes, Dean's right here. Do you want to talk to him? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to talk to Dean. Fucking love that guy. He's so cool. He's like, yeah, he wants to talk to you about if you're going to do his set. I'm like, shit. Fuck. And then I was like, I got to bite the bullet. Like, I just fucking like, that dog that's woofing inside of me? Like, it just started fucking, like it fucking turned full chihuahua. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I can't say no. Like, it's so good. And thank fuck I did, because it's been such a good experience being able to do that.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was so good.
So next thing is probably honestly recording more stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of mates who record their sets and mixes. I want to start doing that, listening back to it, seeing what I can do better.
You can like learn so much from it.
Yeah.
Like just every time I do it, like every recorded set I play, I cringe at it because I'm like, oh God, that could have been smoother. But then like you're aware of that, and then next time you don't make that mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna try and do that. Try and do more collabs, like so many more back-to-backs. Try and get more, like even more into the culture if I can. Like no matter if I was on the left side of the decks, I'm gonna get onto the right side, and I'm gonna be even closer. I want to sniff the spins.
Yeah, just keep being around it.
Yeah, like I kind of just want to get fully immersed into it, and like get some club sets, even just like at a bar, just play at like a mate's house, I know
just get more experience, just keep doing it.
Yeah, do collabs with random businesses, like if there's someone doing a pop-up, fuck it, I'll DJ for that.
Like I even locally, like A lot of like vintage clothes markets or pop-up events will have a DJ booked, or cafes will book a DJ, and that's an easy kind of way to get in. And then once you have that kind of first recorded gig of like, oh, I've done this before, like this is what I've done. Yeah.
It's so much easier to get your foot in the door once it's actually there.
In the door.
Know? Yeah. Once it's
Step one to getting your foot in the door. Get your foot
Put it in the door. Smash the door in. You know, like, yes, that's what we do. I'm going to smash the door in and just start fully getting into it. It's not going to be this little side hustle thing or this little like, hey mate, you know, I'm going to fucking hound my mates to teach me more shit. I'm going to learn more. I'm going to do more. You know, it's going to be, I think, big emphasis on do more. You know, I've been so scared to actually do stuff because I'm like, well, what if I suck?
Yeah,
for that, which is the number one career breaker.
Yeah, because you only get good by doing it.
Exactly,
which is brutal. But like,
you gotta do it. You know, you gotta cringe.
Have to do it.
Yeah,
just do it.
Exactly. So
just gotta lock in.
Yeah,
Lock in.
Yeah. So locking in, breaking down the door to put my foot into it, wedged in very nicely,
breach and clear.
Yeah,
W2 style.
And then just fucking sniff the decks to get the knowledge out of it. You know, like just gotta start cringing. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like once you go through that like cringy moment, then you're not going to have, it will be less cringy the next time. And
exactly.
Like if you see a set of CDJs now, like you've done that before.
I know what to do. You know? Just pop in my little guy and then we're on, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
We're on.
Is there, anything you want to plug? Is there like a website profile people can find you at, or
nothing as of yet? Stay tuned.
What's your SoundCloud gonna be? You gotta pick a name.
My SoundCloud.
It could be tentative.
Right now it's Madden spelt with a 4 instead of the A and a 3 instead of the E. Very basic, I know. Maybe we'll come up with something more creative.
We'll put it up. We'll get the non-existent intern to put it up.
Yeah, somewhere there or there.
Yeah.
Or even here. You know.
All right.
You never know. All right.
Sick. Well, lovely chatting with you, Madden.
Lovely chatting with you. Thank you very much.
Hoozar's Coffee Chats.
Let's go.
Number 1 in the bag.
Yes,
Stay tuned for more.
Let's go. Beautiful.
Sick, man. Awesome.
Lovely.